What is going on, guys? Welcome back. So if you watched yesterday's video, you guys know that we are working on Marky Mark's truck here. We're getting ready to finish up the lift in it. Mark has already started to jack up the front end. We got the jack stands underneath the frame, getting ready to finish off the front part of the lift. So as the truck sits right now, this is going to be kind of how it's going to sit. The thing already looks extremely massive. So the components that we are replacing in the front end, just to remind you guys, if you haven't watched the last video, part one of this truck, I'll put it up here somewhere on the screen. Go check that out. We did the rear. We put the blocks, traction bars. We have to wrap up a couple little things with that, but for the majority, that's done. So we're going to be replacing extended control arms for the 6-inch lift, the new coils, the new shocks, new sway bar end links, a drop bracket for the track bar, and a couple other little things. So we're just going to go ahead and get started on this thing, get ripping on it. Probably going to start with trying to get the axle down. The things that really prevent the axle from dropping down completely right now, the shocks will limit that. So basically right now, as you can see, the shocks are pretty much limited completely out. That's holding the axle up from dropping any further. And also the track bar will limit this. Seeing that the sway bar end links are disconnected. So the track bar and the shocks are the only things preventing this axle from dropping down completely. So once we get those shocks out, we'll be able to pull the coils out and start installing all of our new stuff. What do you say, Mark? Mark, everybody wants to know what you undercoated your frame with. I think that was the biggest question.
Oh.
So seeing that Mark's an auto body guy, Mark gets the cool experience of spraying everything with a nice gun. But
I cleaned it, wire wheeled it, and pour 15. I sprayed it with pour 15.
It's out of a gun though.
Sprayed out of a gun, but certain areas brushed. And then went over that with just a low gloss black chassis.
Nothing special.
No, nothing special at all. Key thing is just cleaning it up good.
So one of the other things in the rear that was not done, we explained, were these chintzy little spacers that they wanted you to drop down the carrier bearing with. Mark, tell us what you made instead.
It's just a piece of 1.25 inch
tubing that you're going to sleeve with that.
Yeah, and then we're going to drill it just to fit the carrier bearing, and those will slide in there too, so it won't squash down. And I just think it's a little better having it sitting against this part.
A little beefier design.
Yeah, than just sitting on.
They just wanted you to run through bolts through spacers, and it was kind of chintzy. So we'll show you that when we're done with that. But like I said, we are going to go ahead.
I did that on one of the other trucks.
Oh yeah. So we're going to go ahead and start ripping on this thing. Catch back up with you guys here in a little bit. Okay, now all we got to do is loosen up the shock bolt on the bottom. Shocks will pull right out. Mark, here.
Would you like me to take that from you, sir?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Actually, I'm going to replace the hood shocks.
Don't mess up your paint. I hate handing stuff over paint. Okay, this other side is a little bit more fun to get to. You can see that the battery, everything else over on this side, just a little bit trickier. Okay, there's your shocks. Don't drop it. Good job. All right, I forgot. Before this axle can completely drop out, I forgot. We have to undo that top tie rod from the pitman arm. You said this comes with a new pitman arm?
Yes.
Okay, so we got to change the pitman arm anyway. So we're going to undo that top tie rod up there. Sorry for the lack of light, guys. I'm going to grab a light here pretty soon. So we got to change the pitman arm, drop that other one. We're just trying to drop the axle out, get these out. And then we're going to start on the control arms as well. Hey! Uh-oh. Did you cause the accident?
I didn't come that way. happy.
Hey, babes. Hey, babes. You can't smile? Someone having a rough day? All right. Well, you look cute anyway. Alrighty. Factory coils are removed along with Mark's 3-inch hockey pucks. Another question. A lot of people are asking about the gears. Mark's actually putting them on one of his other trucks that will probably be doing some suspension work too as well, but the gears are staying with him. So factory coil removed, everything else removed, tie rod removed, factory pitman arm still there, so we'll change that a little bit later. What we are now going to work on is the control arm. So a lot of people ask questions about how I clear on this truck, on the other truck, you know, 33s with the wide wheels. The control arms are the main point of that. So when you lift your truck, the axle has a tendency to want to come back. Even on factory height springs, just like these, I am on stock height on both of those trucks. And what I've done is I still run control arms for like a 0 to 2 inch lift that push the axle about a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch further. Now, on a factory truck, yes, that does move it just slightly ahead, but what it does is it gets it away from having to chop the rear part of your fender. Now, I'd much rather chop some plastic here than chop the fender. So if you're on stock height, you want to stay on stock height, or you just want to clear a little bit bigger tires, the control arms are the #1 thing that, in my opinion, has helped from having to trim tons and tons of metal and stuff. So hopefully that helps you guys. What we're going to do now is we're going to try and do not one side at a time, because if you try and do one side at a time, when you try and manipulate the axle to where it needs to be, that other side is going to hold you up. So we're going to start doing the top one on each side, then the axle will be able to kind of move forward, go to the bottom ones. Now here is where it gets a little bit scary, because these bolts get frozen in the factory control arm bushings quite frequently, especially the caster ones here with that built-in alignment pin. Andy's truck, my truck, a lot of times if you go to undo them and they are kind of frozen in there, not all the time you can actually get them out and have them be salvageable. So we are going to see, fingers are definitely crossed on this truck, but we are going to go ahead and start on the top ones, move on. I'll keep you guys updated as we go along. Also, I did forget to mention one last thing. This passenger upper control arm is also probably the worst one to get out, especially because, I mean, I guess if you took your exhaust off, it'd be one thing, but the top bolt, which I'm going to spin around underneath here, if you guys can see, is right up there. Your factory exhaust is right in the way because the bolt head, the flange head, is on this side. Bolt has to come out towards the exhaust as opposed to coming in from the other side. So when you buy extended control arms, usually you will put a bolt in from the opposite side and put the nut in on this side so you don't have to do that again. But seeing that these are factory, what we'll end up doing is loosening that, pushing the head out, sawzawing it off to pull it through the other side. So just a little bit more involved on this side. Just a heads up. Alrighty, we now have both upper control arms completely out. Mark did a good job. Okay, well, they're trying to come out. Mark did a good job sawzawing. Come on. Go to your home. Are you too good for your home?
Oh, why didn't you just go home? That's your home! Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
All right, so like I said, this top bolt here that faced the wrong way, that the downpipe is in the way, you know how they say that you get better the more you do things? Well, this time we came up, and this might be the biggest hack of the whole video. So we took this 18mm socket, cut it in half, and it was just enough to squeeze in between the downpipe and the frame and hold this bolt from the backside. And kind of like I said, this is how that bolt is orientated in the frame. So once you get this off, you can then push this bolt back through the frame, cut it off here, and then the bolt will slide out this way as opposing to the bolt have to going out that way. So what we did is we shaved down this 18mm socket to hold it, and that, my friends, is probably the easiest way. Instead of taking your exhaust off, taking the downpipe off, you know, if you want to do it that way, that's fine, but All you need is a spare 18mm bolt, a couple Sawzall blades, and we are now ready to probably install, hey buddy, install the top ones, put the bolts back in loosely. They provide you with a new bolt, and then we can get to the lower ones. And the lower ones is, like I said, where we might run into an issue, but the upper ones came apart no problem. Alrighty guys, well, our worst nightmare did happen. We ended up having to cut out this lower section of this caster bolt here. So we just took a Sawzall, chopped it on both sides. What happens is the bolt actually gets seized inside this bushing here, and it actually starts rotating the rubber around instead of actually spinning the bolt out. So we gave it the old college effort try on trying to get these out. Luckily though, luckily for Napa, they did have the new bolts in stock. Luckily, made in China and everything. So here's the part number if you get in a jam from Napa for the new caster bolts. Now, if you go on Rock Auto or other places, these things usually cost about 10 bucks plus shipping. If you wait last minute, like we did, because I forgot, you'll end up paying 50 bucks. So pick your poison, but normally you're not gonna get away from trying to need these. So one side is out. We're gonna go ahead and Sawzall the other side. We did get both of the upper ones on, both the bolts in there. So that is a quick update where we were at. We're gonna keep chugging away here, see what we can else get done. Alrighty guys, we are sailing along very nicely, by the way. All the coils are in, all the arms are in. Mark, we didn't scratch one thing. We didn't scratch one thing putting these in.
You actually handled it all.
I did.
So it didn't get scratched.
I did. I was very worried. So new caster bolts are in, all of the arms are in, all of the arms are tight. New hardware for this bolt, coils are in. We have the new pitman arm on, that's all tight. Got the drop track bar bracket, that's all tight, we're good. So we have some weight on the axle now, so we're getting pretty close to raising the axle up to final ride height and putting some shocks in. And next thing you know, I think the next time you guys see this, we will be on the ground. Some of you guys might be like, man, that's some great lighting down here now. You may ask yourself, what's the functional reason why you would ever need some rock lights? Well, when you're doing this kind of work, it makes it very easy. Alrighty guys, are you ready to check this thing out? So we did not get a chance to completely finish, but I had to pull this thing outside. We are 99% done, just a couple other little things we gotta wrap up that I wasn't super fond of with the kit, but it is on all fours, final ride height. It is a complete beast. So I had to park my truck next to it just so you guys could see stock height on 33s versus a 6-inch on 35. So we really did want to put 37s on this truck, but because we went with such a wide wheel, we went with 35s, and we are super happy because it does completely clear without even trimming these. Now it does hit just a little bit up here. We will have to trim that just a little bit, but other than that, it looks really good. Like, man, it looks like, it's such a beast. Give you guys a quick shot of the suspension here, the new arms, new coils, new shocks. We managed to put every single piece in that Mark painted without scratching it one bit. So one of the major things, as you can see right here, that I wasn't really fond of with the kit is the way they want you to do these sway bar end links. They really want you to chop the factory piece off and kind of put this bracket on, which I'm not really sure about quite yet. We want to do a little bit of research before we go ahead and chop anything factory off in case he wants to change it up yet again, maybe go back down. But here's a little bit better look of that drop bracket for the track bar, the new pitman arm under some daylight. So we got just a little bit of kind of miscellaneous work to do to wrap it up. Obviously we only have a couple lug nuts on the wheels just because we just wanted to get it on the ground before the night was over. That was the goal, which we did get done. So it's not quite on the road yet, ready to hit the highway, but it will be very, very soon. But man, it makes my truck look so bad. It makes it look so puny, but makes me very excited for what's coming for it, that's for sure. But that is pretty much going to wrap it up, guys. We're now going to stuff the trucks back in the shop, head home, and enjoy the rest of the Labor Day weekend. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Tomorrow, Monday, we will be running a one-day kind of flash sale on wrenchworks.com. We're gonna knock a bunch of stuff off to kind of clear some inventory out for the new fall launch, which is right around the corner. So if you guys wanna pick up some stuff on clearance, now would be the time. So make sure you guys head over there. Again, Monday, that will be live. As always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button before you leave, subscribe if you have not already, and make sure you guys are staying tuned for some more really sick videos coming up for the 08, the dually. We've got a lot of stuff coming. See ya.